Out in the desert under blazing sun, the amigos ride, mission begun. Jerry loves freedom, Joe radiates sats, Chris Fractal, Bitcoin, they wear all the hats. Oh, Bitcoin, amigos, freedom, sats, and streams, roaming the earth, spreading the flame, uniting the world in Bitcoin's name. Every Friday the stream comes alive, from 88 sats to fractal vibes. Jerry's got wisdom, the chat lights up, everyone cheers, raising their cups. Oh, Bitcoin, amigos, freedom, sats, and streams, roaming the earth, spreading the flame, uniting the world in Bitcoin's name. The sats rain down, a constant stream, good people unite, living the dream. We laugh and joke, yet we are blessed. Bitcoiners together, always the best. All over the world, the mission is clear. Prosperity's calling, the amigos are here. Oh, Bitcoin, amigos, freedom, sats, and streams, roaming the earth, spreading the flame, uniting the world in Bitcoin's name. Rise to the moon, all-time highs, sats are the future, open your eyes. From desert trails to city lights, together we rise, Bitcoiners unite. Oh, 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 oh. Bitcoin amigos, freedom, sats, and streams, roaming the earth, spreading the flame. Bitcoin amigos.
Holy man. Hello out there. We're on the air. Are we on the air? Looks like it. Oh, baby. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the 88 Sats radio channel. Wow, that was the longest. I shouldn't say that. I was gone in the summertime for a little while, but there's Arnie even. Look at that. Wow. Look at that. What a start to the show. What a start to the show. But yeah, we're here after a week off. And Mondays are usually pretty rusty, but never mind Mondays after a holiday break. So I guess it wasn't completely off. I did a show with the Bitcoin Amigos on Friday, but the Bitcoin Journey has been off for a week. So anyways, look at this. We got Zapstream going. We got Letha who zapped 1,000 sats already to start the week. Thank you, Letha. That's what we want to see. Love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me update the stream there. We got sats there. Yeah, we do. Look at that. Okay. We're also live on Rumble today. I forgot I could go live on Rumble. So I'm trying that out today. What should we do for that? There we go. I just want to double check that we're live on Rumble. It's going to be a little bit of a slow show today. I have a feeling. Not slow. I got lots to talk about. But just in terms of easing back into things here. Time off is always tough when you're getting back. It's tough. I remember going back to like a 9 to 5 job after a little break and how tough it was. But it's a little bit different when you got to show up on the live stream for first thing Monday morning. So we'll get her back here. Let me just make sure we're live on Rumble. It looks like we are. Although there's an ad on there. I don't know about that. There's one person watching on Rumble. That could be me. So anyways, we're going to try out Rumble. I think over these next couple of weeks here, I'm going to realign things here a little bit in terms of Rumble and the overall setup here. I don't think I'm going to get onto Twitter. I don't think I'm going to be on Twitter, but we're going to try Rumble. So anyways, good morning to the one person on Rumble today. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Zapstream. We got Hobbit as well. Zap 420 sats over on Zapstream. Thank you, Hobbit. Hobbit and Letha were both in the show for the Friday. And it was a good show. If you guys haven't had a chance to check that one out, I know that just got to make sure everything's okay here. The Bitcoin amigos were buzzing. Me and Jerry got into a bit of a, I wouldn't say heated debate at all, but it was we had a good chat about gold and his thoughts on how long this is going to take to play out versus mine. And Chris was a little bit more on Jerry's side, I think. Maybe I'm just too bullish. I don't know. But anyways, it was a great show. So if you haven't checked that one out, it's on the Bitcoin Amigos YouTube channel. And we've been putting out clips too. So if you don't have the time of day on Friday to watch all 2 hours, you can just go to the channel and check out some of the shorter clips. Hey, look at this. I got Rumble here on this screen. I can only have so many screens here. But we got Frumble. Is that Letha? It looks like Letha. Good morning, 88 Sats Radio. Letha's everywhere. As always. Love that. So we got a couple people on Rumble. It's good. Timber Crasher. Good morning, Bitcoiners. Welcome back, Jor. Hope everyone had a great Christmas. Let's get back to stacking those sats and building this world into a better place. Great words there from Timber Crasher. Good morning, Ginger. Good morning, Tom. Bodie. Dale from Foggy Flat, Saskatchewan. Oh, it was foggy here too. We were driving home from our Christmas thing on Saturday night, and it was pretty scary. When you live in Manitoba and Saskatchewan as well, but Manitoba for sure, you get used to driving on some pretty bad roads and pretty bad conditions. And even on Saturday night, I was pretty sketched out with the fog. I just hate not being able to see. You know, like even if you're going like 60 or 70 kilometers an hour, you can't see 20 feet in front of you. How do you know if you're going to run into something? If there's a car, a fucking bear. So we got home though. We got home safe. We got our precious cargo here. Arnie boy, we got him home safe. Yes, it is Letha over on Rumble. We got 5 people on Rumble now. Hello, Rumble. Hello, Rumble. I wonder if the comments show up in here. I don't think that they do, unfortunately. Hey, Jay, good morning. Pura Vida to you as well. Rick, one of our Bitcoin Journeyman, happy Monday. Smash the like hit. Have you? Well, we got quite a few. We got 27 likes. Nick, good morning. Finally got here on time. I had a hard time getting here on time today. Kurt, good morning. Bacon Booty. Oh, man. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. Brennan O'Shaughnessy. Good morning. Hope you had some good rest last week. The journey really is a marathon mentality. Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, I did some writing this morning, so I'm going to do I haven't put out a blog for, 2 weeks now. Christmas is tough. I try my best throughout, obviously, the year to show up every day, not Monday to Friday. But the holiday season, you just got to take a little bit of time off. You have to. And I wouldn't say that I refreshed myself, but it was nice. It was a nice little break. So it definitely is a marathon here. Rick says, I tried Rumble for a week, nada, but might be different for you. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Rick's over there too. Rick's on Rumble. We got 6 people watching on Rumble this morning. I do really want to lean in. I think that's going to be one of my goals for 2025. I want to use Rumble more, and only because they're Bitcoiners. That's it. Only reason. The platform itself is okay. I hope that they improve it if they really want to take the top spot from YouTube, but we'll see. Another important note here, December 30th, I think I was 65% finished my downloading the Bitcoin blockchain onto my new server. So I had to disconnect the HDMI anyways to do the show today. But I think that as of today, I will have just snuck it in. That was my goal for 2024, was to be running a node by December 31st. And it looks like I'm going to do it on December 30th. So better late than never, right? It's exciting though. I'm very excited. Not only for the node, but what other things I'm going to be doing with the Start 9. Clean Your Machine. Good morning from Alberta. Good morning. Jay says, I believe January 20th, Mega Pump starts Inauguration Day. I'm in complete agreement with that. And it is definitely not priced in. Not at all. I think we're going to be seeing, probably for the next couple of weeks, unless there's anything significant, good or bad, I think we're probably going to hover here around 95, 100, 105. I don't know if people are like, they just don't believe that Trump's going to be actually sworn in, which could happen, I guess, still. But I mean, people just need things to actually happen before they can act, right? And if you have any sort of foresight and vision and common sense, you can get ahead of the crowd in a lot of ways. Hobbit says, unfortunately, Rumble's not available here in France, but a VPN should be okay to give it a try. Now we got 9 people watching over on Rumble. That's awesome. That is awesome. If you're watching on Rumble right now, say hi. I see Rick's over there and Letha, but throw a comment in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Chico in the van. Good morning, Waro. Good to see you, my friend. And look at this. Jesse says, happy Monday, about to golf right now. Wow. Wow. Lucky you, Jesse. Looks like you're from looks like you got some snowboard gear on there though. So you might be in the mountains somewhere. All right. Oh, look at this. We got hello from Malaysia. Wow. Ian says, good morning, everyone. And Jor, hope you all had a great Christmas and a happy new 8 Satoshi year. Oh, 2025 is going to be big. 25 is going to be the biggest, I think, and best year that we've ever had in the world, in history. Calling it right now. Kev says, I always listen to your show at 1.2 speed. Good call. The song sound even better at that speed. Yeah, I'm the same way. I've actually, I was thinking about this last night. I was listening to a podcast at 1.5x. I'm like, I feel like that's really fiat mentality to be listening to things at 1.5 speed. It's like, I don't know. But at the same time, there's just so much stuff out there and I want to learn as much as I can here in this short amount of time. So I'm trying to jam it all in. But yeah, I know what you mean, Kev. I feel you. Feb is going to be wild. I think that the whole year is going to be wild. The next 10 years are going to be wild. The last 10 years have been wild too. But Raven from Rochester, New York. And Leno from Germany. Wow. What a spread today. Mike says, my friend Donald Johnson Trump is already 180 on the things like the HB1. What's the HB1? He will do the same to Bitcoin. Well, Mike, you know what? If that's your opinion and that's what you're going with, then all the power to you. All the power to you, my friend. Don't buy Bitcoin. Sell your Bitcoin. You should. There's lots of people out there like me who will buy it. All right. Well, where should we begin here? I think I think one thing I'm going to have to start doing at the start of every show, and I didn't really want to do this, but I think it is important at this stage, just because there's so many people watching the show now, and there's a lot, things can be taken out of context quite easily. And I posted a video last week talking about the supply of Bitcoin. And I just said, like, most people think it's 21 million, and I thought it was 21 million as well, but it's actually not 21 million exactly. And so I just did a video talking about it. And there's a bunch of people who just lost their mind on me. And so I guess at the start of every show, I'm going to say something along the lines of that not everything in the show is 100% accurate. I'm more of a directionally correct person more than technically correct person. So just take literally everything that I say with a grain of salt. Verify things yourself. I think you should be doing that with me and every person you listen to and pay attention to. But that's not what it's about. My goal wasn't to say the exact amount of Bitcoin, whether it was too much or too little, or any sort of relevance there. The whole point of it was just to say that it's not 21 million exactly, which I think most people are under the opinion of. So there's been a few things like that, and especially live, like every single one of these shows are live. There's no edits or anything. So just be aware of that. And the other thing I'd say is that I'm not gonna say that this is not financial advice, because telling someone to buy Bitcoin, convert their fake money for real money, that is my advice. And I'm kind of under the opinion that if somebody tries to sue me, that means that Bitcoin has failed, right? And if Bitcoin has failed, then I have failed and all of my money is gone. So try suing me. I dare you to try suing me. So I'm not going to sit here and say that this isn't financial advice. This is absolutely financial advice to leave the corrupt, vampire, broken system and join the fair, transparent, and honest system with scarcity. So I don't know how I'm going to word that every day yet, but it'll be something along those lines. And the other thing too is, like, whatever. If people want to watch a 5-minute clip of me talking about something and then shit on me for it, whatever. It's the people who are here every day who know, right? Like, know my intentions and know that it's never about getting things exactly right. It's just being approximately right about things. Oh, Mike P is having a day here. I'm not going to block you, but just take it easy here a bit, because you're just spewing bullshit here. You're spewing a lot of bullshit here, Mike, and we don't have time for it this morning. Raven says we don't need the government. That's an interesting debate. I mean, we definitely don't need the government that we have right now. I think we could shrink the government by about 90% and be probably better than we are right now. HB1 is a visa to bring in highly skilled workers from India. US will become like Canada. It's also pushing for a North American Union, which ends US sovereignty. Wow. Mike, having a day. Oh, you're a cuck to Trump, unfortunately. Do you have a tough holiday or something, Mike? Lonely holiday? You're looking for some attention and some action here? They will crash the entire system on Donald Johnson's head. Oh my God. Okay, that's enough of Mike. We're not going to block him, but we're not going to pay any more attention to him. Jesse, enjoy your channel, man. Keep it up and keep them coming. Cheers, my friend. That's the kind of energy we need here. There, we got 11 people on Rumble. We're rumbling. We are rumbling. Mish Dog. What up? What up? Yeah, Mike's the Grinch. That's okay. All right, where do we begin here? We got some big news in the mempool lately. The real metric in Bitcoin. Oh, another difficulty adjustment upwards. Wow. All right, let's check this out. let's check this out. Mike Penis Dude is also spamming Ben's chat, and he isn't even live yet. All right, good to know. He's not just picking on me. And even if he was, who gives a shit, right? All right, what's going on in the mempool? We're currently sitting at block height 877054, and it's been 35 minutes since the last block was mined. Tough out there for the miners. They're having a hard time finding this block here. Let me put on this light. I got a new, is it on even? I don't know. I got a new setup here for Christmas. Somebody, I got a 5-in-1 USB thing here now, so I don't have to worry about what I can and can't have on. We got the lights. It's pretty foggy and dark out today, so we need the lights. Okay. So fees are pretty low. Look at that. 1 sat per VByte. Wow. Antpool didn't like that one very much. Not a whole lot to celebrate there. They only made 1.9 million sats for the fees on that one. That's a rough go. But they still got 3.144 Bitcoin there. So that's nice. I don't think I've seen a 1 sat per VByte average for a very long time. But that's not that important. Let's check out what is important here. And that is the hash rate that has been absolutely ripping. Look at that. Look at all these upwards adjustments here. Since September, all we've done is go upwards. That's incredible. That's a very, very impressive run since September 26th. Upwards, 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 upwards again. It's good news. That's the difficulty adjustment. That's one of the key features of Bitcoin that makes Bitcoin what it is the difficulty adjustment. So, good news. Chico says, never forget Bitcoin doesn't need Trump. Nope, doesn't. That is absolutely correct. And I think if you're somebody like Mike Penis, who says that, what did he say? Trump's going to lie about Bitcoin. Have you seen Trump's team that he's building around him? All Bitcoiners. All Bitcoiners. I think that, again, 2025 is going to really shock a lot of people. Very, very much. Okay, let's get to a couple pieces of news here. I tried going through about 10 days worth of news, and there really wasn't that much to be excited about, honestly. I mean, everybody's on vacation. Everybody's on holidays. I shouldn't say vacation, but on holidays. This is too bright. We'll get this dialed in here. Don't worry. Okay, let me send this off, and then we'll watch a couple videos here that are worth looking at. So today, kind of the main thing I want to talk about today is I got a list of, let's say 10. I'm calling it the top 10 discoveries of 2024. So what I want you to do here, I want you to help me out a little bit. And I want you to come up with, you can throw it in the chat anytime now, going forward. But throw in the chat, what was your biggest discovery of 2024? That could be an app. That could be something in your diet. That could be something in Bitcoin. That could be something in your security. That could be a lesson or something you discovered in your own life. But let me know what yours was. I got 10 of them that I'm going to talk about here. But I think it'd be interesting to know what everybody else has going on in Discovery Land. Maverick, the mightiest, checking in. Good morning. QQ, what's that mean? Does that mean question? UTXO basically means your Bitcoin amount. No, I wouldn't say that. UTXOs are really all that really exist in Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin wallet makes up a bunch of different UTXOs. Honestly, think of it's a difficult thing to explain, honestly. But think of your UTXOs like bills in your wallet. You got your wallet, which has, let's say, $500 in it, and you got 5 different $100 bills in there. You got maybe 4 $100 bills and then 5 $20 bills. Those are all UTXOs, each one of those. And just like it would be to carry around $500 in nickels and dimes, you want to get rid of those. You want to convert those into bills to make it easier to carry, make it cheaper to carry. And it's a little bit different with $500 we're talking here, but let's say you had $5 million worth of pennies and dimes and nickels. That'd be very difficult to transact with and very difficult to carry around. So it just costs you more to hold smaller amounts. It's the same balance. It's just how they're held. And on Bitcoin, you have to think of them. Bitcoin here. Let me bring up the mempool again here. We'll go a little bit further into UTXOs because this is absolutely one of the most important things that people need to know about within Bitcoin, UTXOs. So it's important to understand why UTXOs matter. I kind of gave the overall, like how to think about it in terms of bills, coins, your total wallet. They add up to the same thing, but they're in different formats. And you want to have higher bills. You want to be carrying around less weight. But if you think about Bitcoin, every single one of these blocks here, let's look at 877,054. This was the last block that was mined. All these blocks are just transactions. That's what a block is. It's just a bunch of transactions. It's a bunch of data. And each one of these blocks, there's only so much space within these blocks. And that's what the block size wars was about back in 2017, I believe. The big blockers wanted to make these blocks bigger. They wanted to allow more transactions, more data within them. And that has an effect on the overall network itself. That would cause things to be more centralized because people like me couldn't run a node and store all of that data on a node. It'd be very centralized. So the small blocks allow it to remain decentralized because the blockchain, the amount of data is smaller on there. So just think of every one of these blocks as data. That's all it is. It's just a bunch of transactions. And so with UTXOs, the reason why it costs you more to, if you have a whole bunch of smaller UTXOs, when you go to combine that into one transaction, that's a lot of data. Right? If you let's pretend you're sending a Bitcoin to somebody and you had one UTXO with one Bitcoin in there. That's hardly any data. It doesn't matter how much Bitcoin is in there. That's just one piece of data, one UTXO. But let's say that you had that one Bitcoin. Let's say you had 25 million sats, 20 million sats, 10 million sats, and then a bunch of like million, 500,000, 200,000 sats. That's a bunch of data. That's a bunch of UTXOs making up that balance that you're trying to send. So it's going to cost you more. Oh, we just hit a new block after 44 minutes. So that's going to cost you more, right? Because there's a whole bunch of UTXOs in there. So when you go to send that, it will create a new UTXO, but it's going to cost you a lot because you're sending a lot of data there. All those UTXOs are data. And the less you have, the less it's going to cost you to send because there's only so much space available on each block. So the bigger your UTXO is, the less data it costs to send in the future. Does that make sense? Chico on the van says the discovery is that almost everything. Ooh, that was a big one too. I didn't even write that one down. Everything in our food contains seed oils. Yeah. That was a big one for me. That was a big eye opener for me. I really had no idea what seed oils were before 2024, to be completely transparent with you. But yeah, it's a little bit scary. It is a little bit scary and something we should all be paying attention to. What's going on here? There we go. Oh, Letha says, I learned how to make sourdough bread. It's so good. Oh, I'd love, can you share a recipe, Letha? I would love to learn how to do that. I'm sure there's some online. But, oh, we got some zaps coming in here. Look at this. Good morning, friends. 1,000 sats. Oh, that was Letha, I believe. Yep, that was Letha. And then we had Hobbit, 420. And then somebody else sent 1,000 sats. And I'm thinking it was through Arnie's wallet here. So thank you to whoever sent that. And I want to give a shout out as well because I didn't have my phone on me. I didn't have this phone for the Christmas show that we did the other day. But I do have a list of people who sent in some sats that I wanted to say thank you to. Tom sent in 2,100 sats. Thank you, Tom. We got an anonymous zap for 1,225 sats. And Badger sent 21 sats, his first ever zap. Somebody else sent in 420 sats anonymously. Timber Crasher sent in 250. Somebody sent in 2,100 sats anonymously. And the fattest zap of the day was from Fred. Fred sent in 5,000 sats for the Christmas show. So I did not have the secondary zap source here. So I wanted to give a shout out to all those people because I didn't on the show. So thank you. Very, very much appreciated. Fact Without Cause says, I got into crypto this year, finally, after doubting and being ignorant about it for years. Well, the good news is for you, you're still very early, my friend. Alan says, I suck at trading. Me too, man. That's why I love Bitcoin, because you don't have to do anything with it. You just got to protect it. That's all. Certain wallets will show you all your UTXOs. Yes. If you're not using Sparrow Wallet to manage your Bitcoin, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. Ian's favorite discovery was the channel. Wow. 2024 and the community in the Bitcoin journey. Love that. It is an amazing community. And unfortunately, we only have about probably 40 hours for people to join the 8 Satoshis venture. And then we're shutting the door. We're shutting the door. But Ian is one of our 8 Satoshis members, I believe. B-Belly says, I've been in crypto for a bit over a year, and now only realize the importance of holding on and accumulating Bitcoin. I always thought it was way too late in Bitcoin. I think that's what most people believe. I've had several discussions over the Christmas break with people who think that they ask like $100,000. When's a good time to buy? Or yeah, I really missed out on that one. It's at 100,000 now, which I mean, pretty impressive that they know what the price is even. But I told them, like, I would not be surprised one bit if we hit 1 million per Bitcoin this year. I just wouldn't. And then it gets their attention because they're like, oh, maybe I'm not late. It's a 10x this year. Raven started playing guitar after a couple of years off. That's one thing I wish I could do, play guitar. I have one here. It just sits as more of a decoration than anything else. Okay, let's, where should we start here? Which video do we want to watch first? Okay, so going back to, actually, I'm going to address this one first. Dawson says, how do you become a Satoshi member? So the 8 Satoshis group, the 8 Satoshis venture, just to give a bit of a heads up here for people, because it ends tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm going to print off the list. Everybody on that list is going to be part of that. And that's it. I won't be able to join on January 1st. That's the cutoff. And I'm very firm on that too. So I'm trying to tell as many people who would be interested about this before the cutoff. So basically what that is going to look like is for 2025, we're going to keep things as normal. So my Patreon, we're still going to have all the tiers there. There's going to be Living the Future, Journeyman, 8 Satoshis, which will be closed off, 365 days of Bitcoin, which I think there's a lot of people here that will probably get the most value from, Orange Seal, and then the very important Bitcoiner. So it's going to stay the same for 2025, the whole year. And then 2026, that's when things are going to flip over. And I'm going to shut down, or not shut down, but I'm going to close off the Living the Future tier. 8 Satoshis is going to shut down. And then we're going to flip it into a new one. And that new Patreon is not just going to be from me, but it's going to be every 8 Satoshis member. They're going to be promoting that group. And what it is, it's going to be a big, giant library resources network for Bitcoiners, for beginners, for intermediates, for experts in Bitcoin. That's what people are going to be joining. But instead of all the proceeds going to me, all the Patreon money going to me, it's actually going to flow into the venture. So if there's 40 people who are members, I think it's over 40 now, but they're all going to be part owners in that venture. And so all that money, I mean, it's going to come a lot from my channel, but hopefully everybody else within the venture is going to be getting their friends, their coworkers, their family, anybody interested in Bitcoin to join this. And so every month we're just going to flip that cash into Bitcoin, have a treasury, and we're going to have it allocated for different things. But at the end of every year, we're going to vote and say, do we want to pay any of this out? Do we want to leave in the treasury? Do we want any more special allocations for it? And it's everybody's going to be equal owners and equal voting rights in it. So I'm going to have just as much power as the next person there, which I believe is how the future is going to look. I think this is going to be a very revolutionary idea. I really believe that. And it's kind of crazy to say and maybe arrogant to say, but I really do think that there's going to be a lot more ventures like this that happen in the future, because it just makes most sense. When everybody's working together, when all the incentives are aligned, then that's how real things happen. And so again, instead of all of it flowing to me, it's going to flow back into the community there. So I'm going to take 2025. We're going to get everything built out. We're going to set up like a legal structure for it. I don't know if it's going to be a corporation or a trust yet, but that's how it's going to look. So in order to, I guess, to answer your question, how do you become a member? You have to join, just go to the Patreon, and there's a tier there. It says 8 Satoshis. So any tier that and above is going to be included in this. And it's not automatically. If you, for 365 days, 2025, you stay a member, then you're going to be a part owner in 8 Satoshis. So that's kind of it. But the one thing I would say is for people is I think it's $17 a month for the 8 Satoshis venture. But again, it's any tier higher than that is included. So that's kind of the minimum to get in. But the one thing I think a lot of people will be very interested in is the 365 days of Bitcoin, which is $21 a month, a couple bucks more, but you get a video every single day from 0 to 100, I would say, or let's say 0 to 95, because as we know, the Bitcoin journey never really ends. But you get a video a day, 5-10 minute video talking about something within Bitcoin. And I think it's going to be a really good thing for beginners and a really good thing for anybody who's somewhat new to Bitcoin, to give you a full view for a full year of Bitcoin, which includes every aspect within Bitcoin. So that would get you included in 8 Satoshis. That would get you a video every month or every day. And there's going to be some other things involved with that as well for people. So that's how you do it. And again, it closes tomorrow for the 8 Satoshis. Everything else is going to be open, but for the 8 Satoshis venture, it closes off tomorrow. So you've been warned. All right, Jesse says, my first full cycle experience, up, down, loaded up. Beautiful experience. It is. You have to go through a cycle, I think, to really understand Bitcoin. Chico says, so if Bitcoin hits 1 million, what does an exit strategy look like to buy a house? Asking for a friend. I'd say this as well. This would be my answer to you. Chico, don't sell. I've actually been talking to, I've talked to a couple people in the last week or two who were buying Bitcoin with the end goal of buying a house. And you know what? I have nothing against that, obviously. I think that everybody should have a house. Everybody deserves to have a house. But the one thing you got to make sure is make sure you're going to be there for a while. If you do end up selling some of your Bitcoin for a down payment, make sure you're going to be there for a while, because buying a house, there's a lot that goes into it, especially here in Canada with property taxes and transfer taxes and lawyer fees and realtor fees and everything that goes along with it. So make sure that you're in a spot that you want to be if you decide to go that route. But the other thing I would say is, if you are somebody like Chico who's looking to buy a house, the one thing I would say is make the minimum down payment. The minimum. I think depending on what country you're in, I think in Canada here it's 5% down payment minimum. And most people go with 20 because they're like, oh, I'll have to pay less interest. I'll have to pay less insurance fees on it, which is true. That was a very good idea, I think, 10 years ago. But now that Bitcoin exists, I would put in the absolute bare minimum for your down payment. And the reason I say that is because if you think about, if you actually do a spreadsheet, I highly encourage Chico and anybody else who's looking at a house, if they're selling some of their Bitcoin, look at the difference. Let's say that a house costs $1 million, which is not far out of the realm here, especially in Canada. So you get $1 million house, you could do a 10% down payment, which would be $100,000. So you sell some of your Bitcoin, that's the minimum. Or let's say the minimum here in Canada is 5%. So you could do $50,000. And so if you look at the difference there between the minimum versus a 10% down payment, that's $50,000. And instead of selling that Bitcoin, consider what that $50,000 is going to do for the next 10 years or 20 years while your mortgage is around. And again, I really think that there's going to be more people who are refinancing their house to buy Bitcoin, which is essentially going back to the minimum down payment there. So that would be my recommendation. I'm not going to tell you not to buy a house. I think everybody should have a house, and that's, the goal for most people. But just make sure that you are going to be there for a very long time and do the minimum down payment, because 60% or whatever it is, 50% annual return on Bitcoin far exceeds the 5 or 6% interest rate that you're going to have to pay on that mortgage. And if you need to, you can always just sell some of your Bitcoin. If the lower down payment means a higher monthly payment, and if you get behind a little bit, you can just sell some of your Bitcoin. But it doesn't really make sense to sell your Bitcoin early just to save some amount or some points on your interest rate, in my opinion. Oh, my back's sore. Why? And this is another thing too. You could just wait it out. Oh, that's the other thing too. Sorry. One last thing on this question. If I was in the US and I was looking at buying a house or something with Bitcoin, having to sell Bitcoin, I would wait a while, because there's a pretty good chance here, I would say, in the next couple of years, that the capital gains on Bitcoin are going to be gonzo. So don't rush it. I'm sure you could always, I don't know, actually. I'm thinking you might be able to refile and get rid of it, but I wouldn't go through that. I would just wait it out, see what happens. Give it a year and see what happens with the capital gains, because I think that they're going to be going away on Bitcoin. So there's no sense paying any money to the government that you don't really need to. And this is even a better idea here. Get a mortgage without selling the Bitcoin. Effect Without Cause says, is it a good idea to sell 20 to 50% of my Bitcoin, depending on how high it will go for mid-2025, with the plan to buy back more in 2027? Bear market? Will there be a bear market? Your guess is as good as mine. If I was to guess, I would say that we will not see the kind of drops that we've seen in the past. But I don't know. If it was me, I would not sell. You never get the Bitcoin back that you sold, ever. I shouldn't say ever. There are people who have done it successfully. I'm not one of those people. I don't want to waste any of my time and energy looking at the price and worrying about it. Whatever Bitcoin I have is going to be there for the next 50 years. So it takes a lot of stress out of your life. And I really think that there's something to that. Buck 52,000. Greetings from Jamaica. Wow, Jamaica. Lucky guy or girl. Raven says, never sell. You'll be able to get a loan on your asset. Yep, exactly. You don't pay any tax either. And this is the risk. Perfectly worded from Daniel. The risk is that no one will take your trash tokens for Bitcoin when you try to get it back. Yep. Exactly. This is what worries me too, honestly, Alan. And I just got a new loan here in my life, and I don't need to get into the details of it at all. But yeah, I took the fixed rate because I really think that as governments continue to lose control of power here, they're going to make some really stupid moves. And for the people in the US, I don't know what that'll mean with Trump in office, but we still have the world's biggest dipshit running Canada here. So I don't put anything past them. I always expect the government to make the worst possible decision for citizens. And that's based on pure history for the last 9 years. It's not just my disdain for the government. So I locked in a 5-year rate. I paid a little bit more for it, and I'm sure I'll end up paying more interest for it, but I don't want any sort of uncertainties with the government here. So Meestalk says, so for a starter, I got my cousin now to hold 3 million sats. Do you think she's got an okay amount? I mean, yeah. That's 3.1 million sats more than the majority of people, the significant majority of people. Will she be able to retire in a year? No. But if she holds on to it for a decade or two, she's going to be laughing. I think he said she. Yeah, she. Okay, let's watch this video here. So this is a video I wanted to watch today because on Friday we had our Bitcoin Amigo show, and Jerry and I got into a little debate about how it's all going to play out. He thought it would be about 10 years for Bitcoin to flip gold, the market cap of gold, which I didn't really understand, because he thought that he said he wouldn't be surprised if it got to 1 million in 2025, which would flip gold itself. But he just thinks that it's going to take about 10 years for most people to come to terms with gold and governments to start buying gold or selling gold to buy Bitcoin. And he could be right. He could be bang on. My argument there was that if Trump gets in and the US starts buying Bitcoin, it's all predicated on the US. I think that if the US does nothing with their gold and keeps it and just, converts their seized Bitcoin into reserve, I don't think much will happen there. But if Trump comes out and says we're selling some of our gold, as this video suggests, then I think it's going to happen very fast. The US, everybody looks to the US in terms of influence. And I really think that if they make a move and start selling some of their gold, that's going to trigger a big time chain reaction for other countries. Because you have to understand that if that's a signal that the US makes, that means that they're going to start dumping some gold or gold certificates here, as Cynthia Lummis will say. But when the supply increases, who's going to buy that? Who's buying that supply? Other countries? If the other country sees the US selling, do you think that these other countries are going to be like, oh, we're going to buy the dip here. We're going to buy the gold dip here and hope the US changes their minds about it? I don't think so. But I could be wrong too. That's the nice thing about it, is I don't claim to be right. I'm just giving my opinion on things here. So let's listen to Cynthia Lummis. This is the Bitcoin reserve strategy that she's talking about, and what it could look like if the government starts listening to her, if Trump takes office and starts listening to Cynthia.
The other thing is the proposal that I have and that President Trump has discussed about a strategic Bitcoin reserve or strategic Bitcoin stockpile, where the United States would acquire and hold Bitcoin for 20 years. Because of the way that Bitcoin has been appreciating since inception, this would be an asset that could help shore up the US dollar as the world reserve currency and serve as a reserve that could be used to reduce the national debt significantly. You know, the American people are still hurting from inflation, from high prices, and they want the national debt reduced. These are ways to do it with an asset that is immutable, can easily be held by the federal government in a variety of vaults, and that states can participate in as well. So this is the gold standard digital asset, and a strategic Bitcoin
Senator,
reserve is the way to embed it.
You know, we got off the gold standard a long time ago. My question is how much you would spend tax dollars at a time where we're talking about trying to reduce costs. How much would you spend on Bitcoin as part of this reserve?
We wouldn't have to spend any new dollars. We have reserves at our 12 Federal Reserve banks, including gold certificates that could be converted to current fair market value. They're held at their 1970s value on the books, and then sell them into Bitcoin. That way, we wouldn't have to use any new dollars in order to establish this reserve. The United States already holds over 200,000 Bitcoin in the asset forfeiture funds. So that would be the initial source of Bitcoin. So no new money spent on this reserve.
Well, lots to uncover there, that's for sure. I think we can do a full show talking about that and the implications of what the U.S. selling their gold would look like. But it was interesting to me that she said gold certificates. What does that suggest to you? That the Federal Reserves, 12 across the country, are holding gold certificates to what? Where's the gold? I don't know. I don't know the whole story behind Fort Knox and the U.S. gold reserves, but where's the gold? And why is it being held at the 1970s value? Is that because that's the only time that it was still relevant? Like, here's the really crazy thing for me, is that if you consider what's happened since 1970 in the last 50 years, if you consider the amount of money that has been printed, I really think that gold is significantly undervalued right now compared to fiat. Like, even if let's look at this. I didn't really expect to talk about this today, but let's look at the US debt clock and see what, based on the printing that the US has done in the last 50 years, let's look at what the fair price of gold would be. See if I can find it here. This is a crazy website. usdebtclock.org. Look at that. Look at that. It's just ticking up. $36.2 trillion in debt. Debt per citizen, 100,000. So you're born into the US tomorrow, you got $107,000 worth of debt on your shoulders. That is fucking insane. You're a taxpayer, in addition to the taxes that you pay every year, you owe $271,000 because of the government printing money. Congratulations. But where's the dollar to gold here? Right here. Oh, I can't zoom more. Can I? Yeah, you can see it here. So we see the dollar to gold ratio, Now, so that's crazy. Look at this. The dollar to gold ratio back in 1913, before the Federal Reserve, before they were allowed to print money, $25 an ounce for gold. Now it's $8,000, $8,400, $81 per ounce. That's just based on the money printer. So do I think that the gold is undervalued? Yes, significantly. Does that mean that I would go out and buy gold, sell Bitcoin to buy gold? No. That to me suggests that if gold is undervalued, let's say that gold is undervalued even, what is it now? 2,000 an ounce, 3,000 an ounce. Let's say it's worth 5,000 an ounce. That's pretty much double. So then you double the market cap, which means that if Bitcoin were to go 1-to-1 with gold, with a double the market cap of gold, that would put Bitcoin at about 1.6 million fair value today, the actual value of Bitcoin. If you would look at gold and Bitcoin and say these two things are equal. But in my opinion, today, Bitcoin's 100 times more valuable than gold. The functionality, the truly scarce supply, the ability to send it anywhere in the world. For the modern world, gold's very archaic. And I don't mean to keep shitting on gold, but I mean, you have to point out the obvious here, I think. So what does that leave Bitcoin at then? If you think that gold is significantly undervalued, and if you think that Bitcoin is more valuable than gold today, then I mean, is 100K, is 95K a lot? It's not even close. And it's honestly insane to me that more people aren't aware of this. But anyways, look at this. We got Dawson joined 8 Satoshis today. Good job, Dawson. That a boy. That's gonna be one of the best decisions of your life. I promise you that. That's gonna be it's my mission to ensure that that's the case. Renita, hello, new to your channel from NC. Great information here, North Carolina. Welcome, Renita. You are one of the, well, if your profile picture is accurate and you're not catfishing us, you are one of the 5% females that watch the show. So shout out to you as well. All right. Thanks for the insight, Jor and Daniel. Of course, man. That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, right? Okay, so that video is done. And there's people on Zapstream, or is my screen frozen, or are people just really quiet this morning over on Zapstream? No. People are just quiet. That's okay. Holy, look at this. Wow. Look at this fat zap. That might be the fattest zap we received in a long time. 21,000 sats somebody just sent in. Happy New Year. Wish you all the best. 21,000 sats. That is a fat zap. Wow. Thank you. And anonymous too. That's incredible. So thank you to whoever sent that. That made my week. Made my week. Thank you. Nautilus says, this Christmas, instead of presents, we bought Bitcoin. We went from 0.56 to 0.6 BTC. 12K ADA to turn into Bitcoin. At some point, we aim to have 0.8 Bitcoin by the market top. Damn. That's a good strategy. Heck of a strategy. The one thing I would say, though, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Obviously, you're on the right track. But I would convert that ADA into Bitcoin before Trump takes office. And that'd be my similar advice for anybody out there who's thinking about trading crypto and for Bitcoin, or trading cash to Bitcoin. If you're waiting for like a dip to come, just make sure whatever cash you have, whatever you can throw into Bitcoin, do it before just January 20th. I agree. I don't know how much gold the US actually has. There's a lot of theories on that, but I don't know. It's kind of, they've never been audited before. John says, I'm never selling my Bitcoin. Haven't ever sold. Have a ton of MicroStrategy and have traded it the past year. Do you think today's drop is end of year selling for taxes? I don't know. I mean, I'm one of the people who are just like, things could happen over here. Everybody likes blaming things for something. It's just a free market, and there's buyers, there's sellers. And I don't know. I mean, some of this probably plays into account for sure, but like Bitcoin's just being Bitcoin. It goes up, it goes down, and over the long run, it goes very much upwards. Very much upwards. Alan says gold is so different than Bitcoin, in my opinion. It's like comparing cats and dogs. They are both awesome. Gold has magical properties. Maybe. I just don't see it. Magical properties is not something I would describe gold as. I would describe Bitcoin as that. And if you look at, and you might be right, but I think for the most part, people do compare gold and Bitcoin. It's like the closest comparison we have now, because up until Bitcoin existed, gold was the most scarce asset on earth. 2% inflation per year. And it was hard to get. It made for a hard money. Times were never better than when we were living on a gold standard, when the currency was actually backed by something. So I think it is the closest comparison. So, I mean, we might disagree with that, but that's for everybody to make their own decisions. And this is a great call from Timber. Make it a goal next year to never speak on how much Bitcoin you own ever again. Glad to see you stacking so well, but let's be careful in protecting the wealth. Yep, agree. That's the number one rule in Bitcoin. Never tell anybody how much Bitcoin you have. Anybody. And I take that very seriously. And not that I have a lot, but I do have a lot in terms of where this thing's going. Right? Like if you have half a Bitcoin right now, it might not appear that much in fiat terms, but who gives a shit about fiat terms? You're comparing, that's truly cats and dogs, fiat and Bitcoin. Because one's going up forever and one's going down forever. So today is just a snapshot of that. US will probably only use USD to buy Bitcoin. Maybe. That's the thing. Nobody knows right now. It'll be, we got the year to figure out what's going to happen. Yeah. So effect without cost is the way I understand is the US doesn't actually have to sell any gold. They can revalue their gold certificates that were stuck in the same price for decades. Stuck in order not to affect gold prices. Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's what really bothers me. Is the fact that they're able to manipulate the price of silver, of gold, interest rates. And they don't do it with our interest in mind. They do it with their interest in mind. Meech says, I think they'll print money to buy Bitcoin as well. I hope so. I hope so. 1 million Bitcoin is very undervalued. I'd say at least 5 million a coin for sure. Yeah, that's my as well. Hey, Bodhi joined 8 Satoshis today as well. Finally. Don't sell ADA. Trust me. Charles is the man. All right. Well, I don't have any ADA to sell anymore. I used to have some Cardano to sell, but as soon as I listened to Charles speak for 5 minutes, I sold it. Tony says, Jory, I don't trust Trump to do what he says. Is this? No, I was thinking this was our buddy from the start again, but no, this is a little slightly different. Tony, that's okay. You don't trust Trump? That's okay. What do you need to trust him for? Like in your situation today, based on you watching the show, I'm guessing you hold some Bitcoin. So does that mean you're suggesting that you're going to sell it? Or like what's the point of this comment? You don't have to trust him. You don't have to trust him. I mean, will it crash a bit if he changes his mind on it? Maybe. But in 10 years from now, will it matter? Nope. Nope. Adrian says, nice live. I rewinded to the start. This is a way longer than the shorts I've seen. Looking forward to it. Yeah, every day we do a show. Every single day, 9 a.m. Eastern time. A show about Bitcoin. And I'm still fucking impressed with that fat zap, 21,000 sats. That is a highlight reel. Oh, this is a whole nother topic here. I might do a full show on this on the Living in the Future channel, because I've been thinking about this a lot. Buck 52,000 says, got all my tax information in order and sent my safe harbor declaration, time-stamped and sent to myself. Okay, I didn't see where this was going. HIFO, what's HIFO? I do think that there, as much as I don't think that I'll be going along with this declaration and stuff like that, I do think it's important that you should kind of get your shit together, especially if you're in the US. Get your shit together, figure out where your Bitcoin is, figure out where your wallets are. Just good practice more than anything else. And the one thing I would say is, like, let's say you get all your Bitcoin together. Some people keep it in one wallet. Some people keep it in 20 wallets. But get your balance, get your cost base at December 31st, 2024. And then what I would suggest, honestly, is just keep that Bitcoin forever. And if you just keep that Bitcoin forever, you don't really need to report anything on that. And again, this is not tax advice. You should be absolutely talking to your professional accountant. I am no longer a professional accountant. I am just an ex-accountant. But I do love the idea of kind of getting everything that you have together. Don't send it all around and shit like that. Don't cause any issues you don't have to. But I do think it's a good idea to just look at what you have now, plan on never selling that, obviously, unless you have to. And then into the future, your cost base will be much higher. So let's say you just keep buying and buying in 2024. Just spend that if you ever need to. Don't spend your old stuff, because that's going to trigger a big gain now. But at the same time, I really believe the capital gains on Bitcoin will be gone. So I could be wrong, but I do trust that in a sense. Hey, we got Spaceman over in Zapstream. Zap 420 sats. Thank you, Spaceman. And keep in mind, once again, for whoever sent this 21,000 sat zap, thank you. I think that's the biggest zap in the show's history. But you can send it to this here, and it appears on my wallet right in front of me here. So this is like the YouTube equivalent or Rumble equivalent to Zapstream. And if you don't like the QR codes there, you can send it to Arnie's wallet there, Adopted Son 98. Okay, let's get to a couple more comments, and we'll watch another video here. Where are we? Where am I? Sold all my Bitcoin and bought ADA. Oof, that's tough to hear. BitBilly. Hey, Jor, best show on the tube. I'm stacking today, taking advantage of these discounts. Amen to that. Amen to that. Cheers, BitBilly. Happy New Year. Letha says, I wore my sons down over the Christmas holiday. One bought $10 worth and the other 500. Well, that's good. They're off zero. That's the biggest thing. Now they have some skin in the game. Now they'll be paying a little bit of attention to it. And we got 21 sat zap. Oh, we got zaps coming in now. I guess sometimes you just got to ask, right? Somebody sent in 21 sats and somebody sent in 880 sats. 888 sats. We are rolling. Trump's an actor and Charles is not. Gotcha. Crusher Bear says, hello, Joe. Happy New Year. Question. I have the majority of my money in Roth IRAs and tax-deferred IRAs. Would you cash out and buy Bitcoin outright, or would you buy ETFs or MicroStrategy stock? Whew. I mean, it really depends on your situation. I know that's a bad answer and not probably what you want to hear. But, I mean, if you really want to have a sit down and talk about it, I think that might be the better idea. But probably my answer would be, depending on how much income you have this year, how much income you're going to have in the next couple of years, that would dictate my answer. Because if you don't have much for income, then it definitely makes sense to cash them out. But if you're paying a lot of tax already and you're going to get taxed on those disposals, then it probably just makes the most sense to stay in there for a little while. But it's tough. Like there's a lot of considerations there between, again, your current income versus your next couple of years' income, what that looks like, what tax rates you'd be at, the capital gains exemption, if there's anything coming down the line from 2025 for that. There's a lot to it. I think that historically my answer would be just leave it in there, buy some ETFs, buy some MicroStrategy stock. But again, it's probably a good idea to at least take a portion of that and get some actual Bitcoin, because there really is no second best. Even though you're going to get the price exposure in the ETF, there really is no second best to actually having Bitcoin that's in your control and that you have the UTXOs and the private keys to. There's nothing like that. What's going on in the chat this morning? Do you believe in is that why you don't like Charles? I don't know what that means. Ian says, just think when Bitcoin does go through the roof, we're all going to be in such a great place and we would still be early. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. Everybody's at different ages. Everybody has different stuff going on. Some people have a house, some people don't. Some people have a lot of debt, some people don't. So there's really no one good answer for everybody other than just get as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. And if you have to pay some fees, if you have to pay some taxes, so be it. But there's nothing like owning Bitcoin in your own cold storage. Nothing like it. I agree with Maverick here. Say what you want about the Orange Man, but without a doubt, he is a positive force for Bitcoin. Yeah. Okay. So we are on the same page here then. Highest tax crypto in first, least tax impact. That's what I mean. Like if you just put everything that you have up until now, put it into a little pool that you're never going to spend or you're going to lend against in the future, but never sell, then going forward, all your DCAs, all your monthly buys, if you need to sell any of that, and you sell any Bitcoin, that's what you sell. It's kind of just like a good cutoff point to make your life much easier. Because if you're anything like me, I have no idea about any of my stuff. Zero. Meeshdog says, so would buying Bitcoin through Swan, sending to a new address on Sparrow and sending that Bitcoin to a newly generated address to Jade not give some type of privacy? No. Once you buy it with Swan, that's where you KYC yourself. I mean, a year ago, you could have done that with Sparrow because they had the mixer. And if you have an older version of Sparrow, they still do the mixer, I believe. But no, once you buy it through Swan, it'll just follow. They'll always be able to follow back to your KYC there. There are a couple different ways around that. Like the eCash is one. It's a good way to clean Bitcoin, but I wouldn't mess around too much with that. It's still very early. But the other thing you could do there is with Blockstream, you could use Liquid, I believe. And I think when you swap it into Liquid, it kind of cuts the trail, I believe, anyways. Don't bank on that. But that's a possible scenario. It's better than this one. But again, I've said this before, and I'll say it 1,000 more times. Like, don't get too caught up in the non-KYC stuff. Like, it should obviously be, you should have some stack of Bitcoin that's not connected to anything, and there's a bunch of ways to get that. But in the future, if you never plan to sell Bitcoin, that Bitcoin is going to have to be KYC'd, because you're going to be lending against it. And when you go to the bank and say, I want a loan, here's my 20 million sats, I want a loan for 5 million sats against it, they're going to ask you where you got it. They're going to have to make sure it's KYC Bitcoin. Otherwise, they won't lend it any money to you. It's unfortunate, but it's reality. So that's why I think that the non-KYC stuff will be good for transacting with other Bitcoiners. If you have a decent sized Bitcoin network, you can buy and sell with people for things with non-KYC Bitcoin and not have to worry about any implications. And just to have like a backup, just like worst case scenario, here's some non-KYC Bitcoin. But I really believe if we get to the point where people really have to worry about their non-KYC Bitcoin, then Bitcoin has probably failed, truly. Tom says, would you open up a Roth IRA to buy a MicroStrategy up to the limit? I know tax benefits, but I can't bring myself to buy an equity and not Bitcoin. Yeah. There's so many different things involved with this, right? So many different things involved, and it's impossible to really give you a good answer. It's just all dependent on your situation and your goals and your future plans. But the one thing I would never do is sell Bitcoin in cold storage to buy equities. Doesn't make any sense. I would sell equities to buy Bitcoin in cold storage, but I would never sell Bitcoin in cold storage to buy an equity. I think that Bitcoin will be tax-free at some point, and that's why I'm in no rush to do anything crazy with it. Bodie says, if you have any questions about Bitcoin and need George's advice, contact him to get professional advice from the Bitcoin Citadel. Yes, they're the best value for how to do Bitcoin. Well, thanks, Bodie. Bodie is, I've had several conversations with Bodie, so he is, this is a real life testimonial on the show here. And Bitcoin Citadel is something else that's going to be new for 2025. We've already helped some people. I think the super backed is going to be a big part of Bitcoin Citadel. So the Bitcoin Citadel itself is we have, let's say 8 advisors on there, and it's all very new. We don't even have a website yet, but we have been helping people just through the show here. But if you have any questions on anything, and what I would say is just reach out, because we're still kind of figuring out pricing. We're still figuring out packages, bundles, all that kind of stuff. But regardless of what you need in Bitcoin, we do have somebody very knowledgeable that can help you with that. And I would say that our rates are much more reasonable than our competition. We just think that you shouldn't be giving it to us. I mean, we're going to provide you with as much value as possible, but you should be buying Bitcoin with that. It's not about getting ripped off. You know, we don't want to leave anybody with a sour taste in their mouth and say, oh, I can't believe I wasted that much Bitcoin on Bitcoin Citadel back in 2025. We're going to help you. We're going to figure out where you are, where you want to be, and we're going to get you there in the safest and most efficient way possible. And that's a guarantee. That's an 88 sats Bitcoin Citadel guarantee. I own MicroStrategy and Tesla and a Roth IRA and hold Bitcoin in cold storage. That sounds like the perfect setup to me. The perfect setup. Oh, we got another fatty zap here. Look at that. Somebody sent 300 sats. Thank you. And somebody sent 2,000 sats. And I don't think those are from Zapstream either. I think those were the YouTube Zapstream. Okay, should we watch this? I think we should. We're going to watch this video and then we're going to talk about the best discoveries of 2024. So, this is the BitGo CEO. Let's hear what he has to say.
And welcome back to Overtime. Bitcoin is falling today, but it's still a major winner this year, more than doubling in 2024. And crypto investors, they're very enthusiastic about 2025, expecting friendly policy from President-elect Trump. Joining us now is BitGo CEO Mike Belshi. BitGo is a cryptocurrency trading and storage platform. Hey, good to see you, Mike.
Hey, Frank, good to see you also.
All right, so Mike, we were just talking about it just now. Bitcoin, huge run up year to date, even bigger run up after the election. What's going to push this higher? What isn't already priced in?
Actually, I think the regulatory is somewhat priced in, but in general, we've seen that these news events don't always price in until they're actually here. So like we have a new administration coming in, things look very promising. People are very excited, they're very bullish, but it's not here yet. So actually, I think we're going to continue to see the effects of that all through 2025. Remember that for the last 2.5 years, we've had not just a regulatory environment that didn't want to help you, we had a regulatory environment that was actively trying to kill you. So all of a sudden, with that changing in the opposite direction, we're going to continue to see good gains next year.
All right. What about David Sachs? He's going to be the quote unquote crypto czar. Do you think that's not priced into some of these upside moves we've seen in crypto?
I think it's indicative of what this administration is about. They want to see innovation happen. They want to see it happen here in America. They want to see America's strength. So, David Sachs helping both on the AI side as well as on the crypto side is phenomenal. He happens to be a big investor in BitGo. I've known David for 10 years, I think, at this point. So, look, he's a phenomenal mind. He's been seen all over the All In podcast for the last couple of years, and people see exactly how capable this man is. So I think he's going to be a great help to the administration, and he's going to help make sure that the policies that they're looking for come through.
Do you expect to see in 2025 more companies adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet? That obviously was a big theme of 2024. And I'm curious if you think that continues and whether there's any kind of reputational risk that goes along with that size of purchase of Bitcoin.
It's absolutely going to happen. We're talking with multiple clients right now about doing that. It's been a conversation for the last couple of years, but frankly, the regulatory changes make it a lot easier. Having ETFs available make it a lot easier. People don't remember exactly how much balance sheet cash some of the largest, top 7 companies have. I mean, it's hundreds of billions of dollars. So having some access to Bitcoin into that portfolio, into that treasury management, just makes sense. And remember, it's a hedge against whether the U.S. can curtail inflation. And while we're optimistic about what's going to happen with the new administration over the next few years, America has not had a track record at all of being able to curtail spending. So if we're going to continue to see monetary supply go up, Bitcoin is the perfect hedge against that.
Is there a concentration risk, though, if companies do start to adopt this en masse?
Some people talk about that from would ETFs become mass accumulators of Bitcoin? I don't see that as an immediate problem at all. And I think we're going to see a mixture because, we do talk with corporates, but a mixture of some taking self-custody, others using different providers, and then using the ETF. So I don't think it's a foreseeable problem. It could become a problem in the long term, but we'll see how that goes.
I know is okay. Hold on here. Let's address this quickly. So Samantha has a seed phrase that won't import into MetaMask: walk, unfair, fever, veg, cash, glue, magnet, midnight, stage, trend, auto, smart. This is kind of like the scam of 2024. Every video I post has people like this in the comments. And so what they do there is they actually lure you into, it's all done with Ethereum. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin. But if you actually type these words into a MetaMask wallet or something, it triggers you to, I think, send more Ethereum to get the wallet if somebody's trying to outsmart these people. So it is a trap. So if you see anybody who's posting their seed phrase online in the comments or in stuff like this, do not do it. With Bitcoin wallet, it's just going to show up as zero balance. But if you do it on like a MetaMask or an Ethereum wallet, they will drain whatever you have in there. They'll ask you to send Ethereum, I believe, something along those lines. So just if you see any comments like this in the comments, report them, please. I try my best to delete them as soon as I see them, but at the same time, this is a community thing here. So do what you can. If you see something like that, report it, please. Hey, look at this, Ian. That was you. 2,000 sats. My first zap for the show. Well, thank you, Ian. That very much appreciated. And it's pretty cool that it was your first zap. Okay, so back to this video here. I really think that there's a lot of people underestimating what's going to happen here and how important a new administration and a Bitcoin friendly administration is going to be on the Bitcoin ecosystem. Because he said himself, there's been companies looking into this for a few years now, but the regulatory environment wasn't right. So companies were thinking about doing this. You have to look at this from a company's perspective and how this whole thing looks to them. Most people are so focused on their industry, what they've been doing for years, their next quarter. They don't have time to be worrying about what Bitcoin's doing and how to implement that into their treasury. He said that there has been lots of companies looking into it. He's in talks with several companies right now about putting Bitcoin on the balance sheet. And in the last month alone, we've seen probably 24 companies add Bitcoin to the balance sheet. So this thing is moving forward very fast, much faster than I expected to. But you have to understand the implications of a Bitcoin-friendly administration versus an unfriendly one. Not only that, but with the new accounting changes, it made absolutely zero sense for a company to add Bitcoin to the balance sheet up until now, because they could not fairly value their Bitcoin. And I don't want to get into the ins and outs of the FASB rule and the new standards, but it is massive, the implications on corporations being able to hold Bitcoin now. So we're going to see in 2025, we're going to see a huge chain reaction of countries and companies buying Bitcoin. And the amount of Bitcoin that is available now and that will be available this time next year is incredibly low. And people like to even comparing it to gold, comparing it to real estate, comparing it to whatever. We can't compare Bitcoin to anything. And I mean, going back to whose comment was that before, comparing cats and dogs, it's probably true. And not because it was Alan. And it's not because I see gold as like an alternative that you should be looking into. I don't think that. I just think comparing Bitcoin to anything else is like comparing it to cats and dogs, because there's never been anything that resembles Bitcoin before, ever. So whatever predictions, whatever people have in their mind about what's going to happen with Bitcoin, it's impossible to know because we've never seen anything like this before. So, I mean, the point of that, between the gold video that we watched with Cynthia Lummis and this video about corporations buying Bitcoin and the new changes, the regulations, the FASB changes, the point is that for these next 3 weeks before Trump takes office, get as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. If that means selling your cryptos, if that means cashing out some investments, some RRSPs, some TFSAs, some HSAs, whatever it is in the US, if that means selling your hockey card collection, if that means trading your gold and silver for Bitcoin, whatever that is, these next 3 weeks, get as much Bitcoin as you possibly can. Because I think that once Trump takes office and once he makes a few key decisions and maybe even an executive order, we will never, ever see Bitcoin at this price again, which is going to be good for us in a lot of ways, but it's also going to significantly reduce the future amount of Bitcoin that we get. And whether that's our time that we spend, we're going to get less Bitcoin for that. Whether that's the fiat that we have, we're going to get less Bitcoin for that. Or whether it's the altcoins and other investments that we trade, we're going to get less Bitcoin for that. So really take this time, because it is going to be a really crucial part of history. When we look back and knowing what we know today after November, the election, and knowing what's coming here in January, these 3 months people are going to look back and say, it was so obvious what was coming here. And I did hardly anything about it. So the good news is you still have a couple weeks, but after that, we're going to be in tough. We're going to be in tough. AI bots on crypto channels have been crazy. They have even cracked comment likes and bot swarms replying to bots. Yep. It is pretty crazy, to be honest with you, but Bitcoin's going to fix that. Bitcoin's going to fix the scams. Haken Zap 21 sats over in Zapstream. Thank you. I think that's a new one. Yep. Shout out from the OGs. 21 sats. Thank you. Yeah, Alan says if you see one of those, send me Bitcoin YouTube channels, report them. I do it all the time. It's crazy. It is crazy that YouTube allows that to happen. But, you know, if you say the wrong thing about a certain medical procedure, you get kicked off of YouTube. But there's scammer accounts that are allowed to steal people's hard-earned wealth, and they're just YouTube's okay with that. But that's why we're trying to make the transition slowly here over to other options, we'll say. By the way, we had 8 or 9 people watching over in Rumble. I don't know who's still over there or not, but anyways, thanks for joining us today. We are going to be streaming on Rumble going forward. Alan says, I love the expression is time in the market, not time in the market. Yes. Just hold on. That's it. That's it. That's all. Okay. So I asked everybody here, and I encourage you to do the same here for the next 10 minutes or so, and I'll be paying attention to the chats. But let me know what your best discovery of 2024 was. Again, it could be an app, could be a food, could be a workout, could be a city, a place, an idea, a mindset change, whatever, anything you discovered in 2024, think back. And if you can think of something that has impacted your life, then just throw it in the chat. We'll talk about it. So I'm going to start with a few here. I got 8, and they're a variety of different things. So let's start with the first one. A big discovery for me in 2024 was Spotify audiobooks. I did not know. I've been a premium member for probably 5 or 6 years or more, Spotify. And I had no idea that you can listen to full and download full audiobooks on Spotify. And I'll give you some of the examples that I have on my Spotify now. But some people have like a audio or Audible subscription where they listen to ebooks. But Spotify actually offers that as part of their package, part of their premium account. So what have I been? I have The Obstacle Is the Way by Ryan Holiday. That's a very good Stoicism book. The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. The Magic of Thinking Big. Mandibles is on here. Meditations from Marcus Aurelius. The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Golf is Not a Game of Perfect. One of probably my favorite golf book. And I think that's it. That's the ones I have on here right now. But I had no idea that you could listen to audiobooks, or they're included in premium. So you can get quite a few audiobooks on Spotify. So if you're a member on there, just check it out. Go to home and then scroll over to audiobooks. And you can see Man's Search for Meanings on there. I think I downloaded the Sovereign Individual as well last week. But I had no idea. Also on Spotify. Also on Spotify now. What? The Bitcoin Amigos soundtrack is now on Spotify officially as of Christmas Day. So Chris uploaded the new soundtrack, Bitcoin Amigos, onto Spotify. So if you don't have if you don't have Wave Lake or you never took the jump there, you can now download the album. You can add the songs to your playlists. The Bitcoin Amigos is now on Spotify. Okay, I got to top up my balance here on Zapstream. Okay, so that's number one. That is number one. Spotify audiobooks. Okay, hold on here. Top up. We need to pay our rent. We need to pay our dues on Zapstream. Okay, we're paid. We are paid. All right, so number two here. Number two is the password generator on Coldcard. I did a full show on this on the multi-generational wealth course, which by the way is included in all the memberships on Patreon. So I would say, if nothing else, there's 7 episodes on there of different things within Bitcoin to help you protect your Bitcoin and different things to know, best practices, UTXO stuff. And I did a show on passwords a couple weeks ago. But I've completely changed my setup, or I'm working on it anyways, because my life was completely overwhelmed with a whole bunch of passwords, and each one was different. It had a different email address, different password, different combination of the two. And it was very stressful. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people watching this who can relate to that. So what I've really tried to do in my own setup is use the Coldcard password generator for the very important passwords. So that could be your Gmail account, your what else is important? I don't know. Like you really have to look at what accounts you use for every day. And let's say my Bitcoin Well account got hacked. Do I care? What's the worst case? Somebody's going to buy some Bitcoin for me? No. So things like that, I just use the same password now. It's a complex password, but it's kind of the same for all of them. And you have to keep in mind here, if somebody got access to this account, what could they do? So again, with Bitcoin Well or something like that, or what's another one here? My Calendly or my Spotify account. What's the worst that they could do? So think about your passwords like that. Like break them down of very important passwords. Use something like Coldcard, use something like Proton password generator, store those in a safe place. And then everything else, you can kind of just use something that you're familiar with and that you're going to remember, because it caused me a lot of grief in the past of trying to keep track of passwords and that kind of stuff. So one thing I'm really working on for 2025 is getting my whole online life organized. And the password generator on Coldcard is a big part of that for the very important passwords. Oh, we got Alan. Look at this. Alan's up 420 sats to the Zapstream. All the best in 2025. Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much for that. Okay, next one here. The next one here is the Android phone. So I've been an iPhone user my entire life, ever since we had the T9 and Snake games on the flip phones. But I think my first phone was the iPhone 3. And I've been an iPhone user since then, back in probably 2006-ish. I've only used iPhones. And this year, 2024, I took the leap. I've been wanting to do this for a few years now, but I took the leap to Android. And the first couple of weeks were a little bit tough, but after that, I'll never go back to owning an iPhone now. The Androids just have so much more functionality and capability between nostr stuff, between Bitcoin stuff. It's just much better than iPhones. The one thing that iPhones did have going for them was the iMessage, the group chats. And a month ago, if you updated your iPhone now, you're actually fully compatible with Android. So I've gone back to group chats now that I was kind of kicked out of for 6 or 7 months while I had an Android. But now with this new update for iPhones, Apple have actually allowed them to communicate back and forth very easily, Before, if I wanted to send a text to an iPhone, it was done with an SMS text, which was like flip phone days. That's what Apple did to Android users. They wouldn't allow them to get on the same, I think it's called RCS now. So anyways, the Android to me has been one of my best purchases and best discoveries of 2024. And if you are somebody out there who's been thinking about moving to Android, I would highly suggest it. Especially if you're a Bitcoiner, especially if you're on Nostr. Amethyst to me is by far the best Nostr client that exists out there. And it's only available right now on Android. You just have way more access to stuff. With iPhones, you're very limited to the apps and stuff that you can have on your phone because it's all through the App Store. But with Android, there's the world's your oyster, basically. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to download on your phone, you can with Android. So that's my number 3 is the Android. Let me catch some. Yeah, the bots are kind of taking over here. Oh well. We need to give out some wrenches here, I think. Tom says, I found that Android didn't last as long for me. I also didn't want anything to do with Google Play Store. Apple locks you into their ecosystem. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you have to, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do with Android in terms of like the software that you run, what you use to download them. But for me, like, I don't know, I have no issues with the Google Play Store. It shows the apps that are verified and especially if you use something like Zap Store. Like that's been a big one for me in 2024 is the Zap Store. Oops. Zap.store. So if you're on Android, make sure you get the Zap Store app. It's kind of buggy still, but you can download a whole bunch of things without going through Google Play or anything like that. And it'll give you like, there's a thing, Essentials by Gigi. It has apps for Nostr. It has apps for Bitcoin, for organization. Vidor Pomplana, which is the guy who made Amethyst. His selections on here. It's really cool. So it's kind of like a Nostr-based app store. It's called Zap.store. So I don't know how many people are using that or have heard of that before, but it's been a great resource for me. Okay, well, maybe let's get into this next one then here. Voluntarism says, Bitcoin self-custody also solves the problem of scammers because it's impossible for scammers to gain access to your account if you never give them your 12-word seed phrase. My 12-word seed phrase is on a block plate, and I use Sparrow for my Bitcoin. Well, Sparrow's good. But let's talk about this because this is my next discovery here of 2024, which is super backed. And I actually probably should have put this at number 1 because this is my favorite discovery so far of 2024, super backed. And we actually did a full discussion on this. So this is kind of where I'm going to redirect you right now to listen to why I'm so excited about super backed. I'll give you a video to watch on it. What the hell? Fucking YouTube. Okay. Focus. So if you go to the Bitcoin Amigos channel here, let me bring this up. We just posted a video on this yesterday talking about super backed. So first of all, make sure to go subscribe to the Bitcoin Amigos channel. That's number 1. But number 2, you can watch this video called Secure Your Bitcoin with Encryption. And I did kind of an overview. It's 11 minutes long. But I did an overview. Maybe I'll just add it to the... As you go through Bitcoin, So somebody in the chat, Danny, asked a little bit more about the super backed method of self-custody. So I'm going to add this video to the show notes here for people to check out. Just to save 11 minutes on the show here. But definitely go check that out. Start looking at super backed. If you do have any questions about super backed or you want to set up a phone call. Oh, let me stop sharing this. Let me stop sharing. Okay, so that's added to the very top now. So it says super backed and then the video there. You can go watch that. It's 11 minutes long and gives you a full breakdown of what super backed is. But it's a way to store your backup phrase, mostly an encrypted way to store it. Because if you think about it, and this is kind of what I struggle with, but again, this is what I've done for the last 4 years. And I'm not saying that having your seed phrase in a safe place is a bad idea or putting it on steel is a bad idea. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying if you really think about the process of your hardware device, your main signing device, and how encrypted, how secure it is, you need a PIN code to access it. And if somebody came across your signing device, they couldn't do anything with your Bitcoin because they wouldn't have your PIN code. They couldn't access be able to sign a transaction and move Bitcoin out of your wallet. So you keep that. And I think that most people actually, the majority of Bitcoiners, I believe, keep their hardware device and their 12 words in the same spot. So you went through the process of putting everything into a very secure encrypted device that only you can access. And then right beside it, if somebody were to find those 12 words, your backup phrase, they don't even need to go through your signing device. It defeats the whole purpose of it. So you have something that's very secure, very encrypted in your hardware device, and then you keep the backup to that on a piece of paper in plain text. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to make fun of people here because I went through 4 years of this myself without realizing how stupid that is. So with super backed, it gives you encryption for your backup phrase. So you have your hardware device that's encrypted, and you now have your 12 words, your backup phrase, which is also encrypted. And what I want to do with my own setup is that if somebody came to my house, they couldn't do anything. They would have to either hack into my cold card, but that's it. There's no 12 words laying around anywhere. There's nothing for them to find that they could steal and access my Bitcoin with. I want to have as little of a trace of Bitcoin in this house as possible. And whatever I do have kicking around is all encrypted. So that was a huge discovery for me. And it was actually kind of recently, which was super backed. So we've already helped several people with super backed. We got about 5 or 6 meetings in the early 2025 lined up for super backed. So if that makes sense to you, if you'd rather secure your backup phrase and instead of on a block plate in an encrypted way, then you can just reach out and we'll set up a phone call. There's no cost for you to do it. We'll just discuss, give you some info, see if it makes sense for you, and then you can decide yourself if it does. But don't, I know there's a lot of people thinking like it's a very intimidating thing. It's not. You're going to have 2 of us, very capable, who can walk you through the whole thing, tell you exactly what you need to do, what you need to go ahead with it, and basically hold your hand through the whole thing. And I hope that a lot of people in this community do take that seriously and do start encrypting their security setup. Andrew says, finding out cold card and sending over from Ledger. Best discovery. That's a good call. That's a good safe call. And again, super backed is not going to replace your cold card. Keep that in mind. So it's very customizable. It's very flexible. So with whatever you have, even if you had like a Ledger right now and you added super backed on top of that, that's a far better way of doing things. And the other thing about that too is the inheritance side of things. So you want to be in a position where if something were to happen to you today or tomorrow or in a month from now, your family will be able to access your Bitcoin. Otherwise, you spent all of your time, all of your energy learning, earning Bitcoin. And if something were to happen to you, that is just, it seems like a waste of a life to me. And I get it. Some people don't have anybody to send it to or to pass it on to. That's a different story. But I think most people are buying Bitcoin for their family, for the future. And if you're just procrastinating and being lazy about this, that could be a very big punishment for your family after you went through everything that you did to get here. But you procrastinated, you got lazy, and you didn't set up a good inheritance protocol with it. That's a problem. So with the SuperBack package, we also have like an inheritance protocol that gives you a full list of everything you need to do, which involves SuperBacked in the process. And so just to ensure that if something were to happen to you unexpectedly, your Bitcoin is going to be fine. So you get your encryption, current setup, and you get the inheritance side for in case of any issues that come up. Hey, somebody said, good morning, 88 sats, and sent 88 sats. Oh, it's Daniel over on the Zap stream. Thank you, Daniel. 88 sats into Arnie's wallet. I have all these connected to Arnie's wallet now. He's making more than I am right now. But anyways, Leomas, good morning. Okay, that's a good question, and let's tie this into SuperBacked. So how it works, this isn't like, so the question is, in the point of Bitcoin self-custody to eliminate counterparty risk where you do not rely on third parties? Yes. I don't trust companies because leadership changes. That's the nice thing about this, is the SuperBacked software it's not open source, but you can go and verify the code. It's on GitHub. You can go look at it. Many people have looked at the code. And so you download that on your computer, on your hard drive. You fully disconnect it from the internet on a different laptop than you're used to, like an old laptop. You get it on there. You open it up. You never have to worry about updating it. There's going to be no updates to your wallet. It's just going to sit there. And as long as you have a copy of that, regardless of what happens to your laptop or your whole setup, you're always going to be able to download that, scan your QR code, enter in your password, and your secret will be unlocked. So this isn't being held somewhere else. It's just a piece of software that you download. You disconnect from the internet. You air gap your laptop fully. You're never going to have to update this again as long as you keep a copy of the software on a backup. And that's part of the protocol here that myself and Craig, we both keep a copy in case you lose it. But you don't have to update it. You get it on there. You completely disconnect it from the internet. That's what you use it for. You never update it. Unless you need it, you don't look at it. And it's never connected to the internet, just like a cold card. Think of like this as like a big cold card that you're backing things up onto. You're not going to sign any transactions there, but it's fully encrypted, fully air gapped, and you don't have to update it ever. So why am I so blurry? And again, I'm not asking you to trust me on it. I'm not. If you've seen who created this, if you understand the open source aspect of it, if you see who's involved with this project, even somebody is an investor in it, it took him a couple of years to fully trust and understand the whole process here. And so again, don't just take my word for it. Look into this yourself, make sure it makes sense, set up a call, ask any questions that you have, and then decide for yourself. Okay, the next one here is AI tools that I've been using. And I don't really think of myself as like an AI expert or anything like that, but I also don't really realize how often I use AI now in my day-to-day life. And the 3 AI tools that I use the most this year were Venice.ai, an application called Claude, which I've been using most out of all of these, and then Perplexity. So it's not like you just use one and that's it. And I really encourage people to download some of these, start using some of these, find what works for whatever you need it for, and kind of incorporate them all into your day-to-day life. So with Venice, I pretty much just use Venice for images more than anything else. Sometimes I ask questions, but mostly just images. Claude is like a full-on assistant for me. Like I'll have a full-out conversation with AI, Claude. And the nice thing about Claude compared to like Venice is that it'll keep going with your conversation. It's not just a one-time question and answer. It's a question, an answer, and how else can I help you? what else can we base this conversation off of? What else can we do with this information? So that's why I love Claude. And then Perplexity is more like a better Google. So it's much more up to date. I haven't really fully utilized Perplexity. I've just been kind of playing around with it. Whenever I want to Google something, I either use Nostr or I use Perplexity. Whenever I need an image, I use Venice. And whenever I want to find more ideas or brainstorm or get information from, I use Claude. So those are kind of my three things that I would try out for if you're somebody who's just getting into AI: Venice, Claude, and Perplexity. That's where I would start. They've all been extremely helpful in my day-to-day. The next one here that I want to talk about is the Speed Wallet. And the reason I love the Speed Wallet is because it's fast, for one, very fast with Lightning. It has all the functionalities of a Lightning wallet. And up until Speed Wallet, for the people in the US, I really didn't have a good recommendation for a Lightning wallet for people in the US to use. But I've been using Speed Wallet. I've been using it more than Wallet of Satoshi even in Canada here. And it's a really good wallet. It has a lot of functionality. It gives you a Lightning URL. You can store Bitcoin on there. There's different things you can do on there. It's actually fully connected to what is the hold on. I'm trying to think how you can buy and sell or how you can buy gift cards. Shop. Who's this connected with? Bitrefill. So on the Speed Wallet app, you can actually buy things on there through Bitrefill. So I've been using Bitrefill for a while now. You can buy gift cards with your Bitcoin without any KYC, which is really cool. All you need is an email address. You don't have to verify any information there. So you can use Speed app to connect automatically with Bitrefill in the shop. And you can hold BTC, you can hold USDT. And I believe everything is held on Lightning. So you get your Lightning address, you can customize it. There's mine. I just doxed my balance there. Oops. Oh well. It's still crazy to me that 145,000 sats is worth 192 Canadian dollars. Wild. So that's Speed Wallet. That's what I would suggest everybody tries out, especially if you're in the US. And if you're looking for a really solid Lightning wallet, you can use the Speed Wallet. And I think in my show notes, you can use a referral code in there to get some free sats for yourself. And that is EPN SI5. Some people have had success with it. Some people have not. But you actually have to enter that in right when you're signing up at the very first page. So that's the referral code. I think you get like 500 free sats for that. And I think that's it. Oh, no, one more. So the last discovery I had here was Earl Nightingale. I don't know how I went my whole life without knowing about Earl Nightingale, but I started listening to some of his old audiobooks and his clips on YouTube. And it is incredible the amount of change I've had in my life because of that. So this is all free. You can just YouTube, you can search Earl Nightingale and just start listening to a few things. There's clips on there that are 50 minutes long, half an hour long, 2 hours long, a full audiobook of his. But if you're looking for some like change in perspective, change in motivation, I guess, self-improvement stuff, look no further than Earl Nightingale. And there's just none in particular, but just start listening to some of his stuff. I'll give you maybe my favorite video from Earl. It's actually, it's really well done. It has some graphics and hold on. Oh yeah, here it is. It's called The Strange Secret to Success. Maybe we'll watch a minute of it here. So this was originally published in 1957. After school account here, they did like a full visual of it.
I'd like to tell you about the strangest secret in the world. Some years ago, the late Nobel Prize-winning Dr. Albert Schweitzer was being interviewed in London, and a reporter asked him, "Doctor, what's wrong with men today?" And the great doctor was silent a moment, and then he said, "Men simply don't think." It's about this that I want to talk with you. We live today in a golden age. This is an era that man has looked forward to, dreamed of, and worked toward for thousands of years. But since it's here, we pretty well take it for granted. We in America are particularly fortunate to live in the richest land that ever existed on the face of the earth, a land of abundant opportunity for everyone.
So that is Earl. Check him out, especially now for like the New Year's folks. I'm probably going to spend tomorrow's show talking about New Year's resolutions and stuff like that, and maybe a different way to think about some of it. But Earl, that's somebody we paid very close attention to this year in the Living in the Future. We watched dozens of his videos, and it's made a very big impact on how I look at things now. So if you're into that kind of stuff, check out Earl Nightingale on YouTube for free. And I think my biggest lesson that I've learned from Earl is basically the law of the universe that suggests that any rewards you get in life, money, friends, any rewards is always in direct proportion to the amount of value that you add for others. So if you're not adding any value, don't expect any sort of reward to come in. And there are certain situations where that's, out of sync a little bit, whether that's somebody wins the lottery or some sort of natural disaster. But for the most part, the law of the universe is that the rewards that you receive in life are in direct proportion to the value that you create for others. And if you apply that, you really approach every day differently. I did anyway, so I can't really speak for everybody, but that's Earl Nightingale. So definitely check him out on YouTube. And I see ADJDJDN says, "Hi, Bitcoiners," on Zapstream. Hello. And we'll end the show today with a giveaway from Bitcoin Well. How does that sound? Speaking of Speed Wallet, get your Speed Wallets out and open. Man, we had started the show here with hardly any light, and now it's very bright in here. Too bright. It looked like a ghost. Oh, I got the wrong password. All right, we ready? Get your lightning wallets out, folks. Somebody's going to win some free biddy here. Who's it going to be? Who will it be? Are we ready? Are we set? Go. Oh, yeah. Biggie. 2,100 sats to somebody out there. We haven't had many of those. There's been a lot of 500s, a lot of 210s, but that's a good one. 2,100 sats for somebody out there. So hopefully that's been scanned. I'll double check with my own Speed Wallet to make sure she's been claimed. I'm hoping that it has. Claimed. Well, congratulations. And that is courtesy of our good friends over at Bitcoin Well. And they are by far the best place to be buying and selling if you want to. DCAing, paying bills. You can't buy gift cards yet, but it's coming by the looks of it. You can swap Bitcoin on there, which is pretty cool. Very underrated aspect of Bitcoin Well, especially if you're in Canada. There's features on Bitcoin Well that are nowhere else. And in the US, I believe it's very good too. There's a lot of people that I know who use Bitcoin well in the US and love it. Very easy to use, very low fees, 1% spread, and awesome. So bitcoinwell.com/Jory, get yourself an account. Even if you have no real intention of using it as your main one, just try it out. And what I suggest everybody uses is about 2 or 3 different exchanges. You want to have a couple different exchanges in your back pocket. You don't want to just be solely reliant on one, because whether Bitcoin crashes or Bitcoin's ripping, you want to make sure that you have access to an exchange. And so probably in the early part of 2025, I'll be talking about some of the best options you can use for that. But make sure that you have at least a couple different exchanges set up. And even if you're not bouncing around using different ones, make sure that you're at least able to buy and sell if you need to on there. And if you're in North America, Bitcoin Well should be absolutely at the top of that list for the ones you're trying or the ones you're using. So bitcoinwell.com/Jory, you get 5 free tosses into the well, which means 5 free shots at some sats. Tony says, Jory, you found a Tesla cars. I'm kind of mixed on them, honestly. I don't think that electric or lithium batteries are the best part of our future. I think they're going to be displaced at some point, but I do love the technology. I do love the concept behind Tesla. And I do love the fact that if you've ever been in a Tesla compared to like a combustion engine, it's like snap your neck fast. And just the safety of them too, and how all the sensors and the airbags and all that kind of stuff, like they're very well designed. The tech, I think, is what I'm a big fan of within Tesla, but I'm not big on the electric cars, especially here in Canada. So I don't have any immediate plans to buy one, but I do think that there's something there in terms of the technology behind it and the alternative to combustion engines. All right, let me just check. What was I going to do here? I don't know. Oh, Rumble. How's Rumble doing? Now we get 7 people over there. I'd say worth the time, worth the energy, except my live chat disappeared on me. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up today. First show back, 2 hours long. I'm going to do a podcast after this as well. I got some stuff to talk about. So make sure there's been quite a few people, a record amount of people who have listened to the Bitcoin Piggy Bank. Let me just bring that up quickly because I'm sure there's people out there listening to this now who haven't listened to it and could benefit from that. Let me see the analytics here. $310 people have listened to that episode, which is like triple what we get for most. So whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on Apple, whether you're on Fountain, if you just type in Bitcoin Journey, you can see the last 8 episodes or the first 8 episodes we did for Project Potential, which is the new podcast about Bitcoin, business ideas, that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna hop over and do an episode right now on Project Potential. So keep an eye out for that today. And outside of that, that's it. Big shout out to everybody who sent in some sass today, and a special shout out to the fatty, 21,000 sat zap this morning. I think biggest in show history. So thank you for that. We had a lot that come in today. And thanks to everybody on Zapstream. Big shout out to you as well for utilizing the freedom tech that we have available. And of course, the people on Rumble. So that's it. We'll be back here tomorrow for the New Year's Eve show. And then we're going into 2025. The best year, the biggest year of our life. So we need to be prepared for that. And again, if you have any questions on anything I talked about today, including the super backed and inheritance protocol, just shoot me an email. All my information is in the show notes. My email address, my website, my nostr and pub. Everything you need to know is always in the show notes, including referral links for things. So if you're buying something in Bitcoin, always check the show notes first. Good chance you get a little discount on whatever you're buying there. So with that, I hope you have an amazing Monday. Thank you once again for the zaps. Thank you for being here in the chat. We had some good questions today. And just thanks for showing up every day. And enjoy your Monday. Enjoy any time off that you have here. And we'll be right back here first thing tomorrow morning. So we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.